I
Okay.
am ready. So the topic we're addressing is individual interviews with the teacher. Now, we do short mini interviews. And by the way, we use the word interview with INTR with a little squiggle and view after that. What is that called? A tilde. A tilde, right, Linda? Is that
I
right?
think a sideways tilde, but yes.
Sideways tilde, whatever. Because we really look at it as together review your experience. And we give many versions of it, and at the end of our daily online hour. But there's the opportunity to have more in-depth interviews.
Right. And we wanted to consider some of the reasons. What are the impetus to have an individual interview with a teacher? Why would you want to talk with somebody in more depth about your practice or what's going on with meditation and you, especially if you have a psychotherapist or a 12-step sponsor or an astrologer or a coach, that you're doing other individual work.
However, our framework is different, just like everything that the list Linda just spoke of. If you're going to astrologer, they're going to be seeing your experience through the lens of the planets and their movement in astrology. If you're going to a 12-step sponsor, they're going to see it through the tenets of the 12-step meetings. But we offer it through a different lens, which is the Buddhist Dharma.
Right. Right. And you might not even know what does it mean to be anchored in the Dharma. So we wrote a little bit about this in our book, and here we'll read from. I'll read a paragraph, Nellie. You read a paragraph. We'll kind of go back and forth. It's fairly short. The container and structure, and we're comparing this to psychotherapy at this section of the book. The container and structure in psychotherapy differs from reflective meditation. Therefore, different things will happen in the conversation. Psychotherapy creates a holding environment. Clear boundaries are established by the psychotherapist's training and ethical guidelines. Confidentiality is strongly regulated. Meditation creates a different kind of holding environment, one where we're relatively still with the contents of our body-mind, and over time develop the capacity to hold more internally.
I know I'm supposed to read the next paragraph, but now I want to say something about the paragraph you read since we're taking it more freeform. So, in the individual interview, why would, so we're learning to hold the contents of our body and mind and hold more internally. And that could be part of what is discussed in an individual interview, the developing capacity to hold more, and you might not notice it. That's my experience a lot. Like people don't notice what's developed because maybe it's like not full bore. It's just a little more you're holding, a little less, you know, a little more able to be stiller, a little bit more able to know what's going on in your body, mind.
Well, and that validation helps give you some confidence in the practice and to keep doing it and really realize that you are learning something and you're not just glossing it over because you haven't been aware of it or it hasn't been pointed out to you in a certain way.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to go back to the reading from the book. The distinctions blur because reflective meditation is relational, just like psychotherapy. But the conversations teachers have with students are different than you might be having in psychotherapy because they're about meditation, and meditative life and Dharma, which inherently will include the concerns and the joy and your concerns and your joys and everything in between. But they're anchored, as I said, in the Dharma rather than in psychological framework or understanding. Although there might be some of that in there.
There might be, and that's where we would overlap rather than having the distinction. Um, This is another kind of distinction and overlap, but as meditation teachers, we try not to be so arrogant as to assume we know more about your experience or more about your psychological tangles or more about your world than you do. And we don't identify anything to work on. So you don't come away from an interview with being told what you should go do. You might, though, come up with a plan for yourself about what you'd like to focus on or a direction that emerged from the conversation.
So, part of why we're talking about this is because Linda is available for individual interviews. And it's been an interesting sort of history. Individual interviews were so what we did, and then we took a pause from them to, I think, reevaluate what really we wish to do in individual interviews. And now Linda's jumping back in and is available for them. It's available to you if you'd like that.
And it's interesting with that pause, what's happened is that there's been a lot more peer connection, a lot more affinity group development, and a lot more of each supporting each other in the Sangha. And that's been a fantastic direction to develop. Um, and we noticed in Sati Sangha's budgetary board meeting that we have a deficit and that I still need to work and I'm not retiring. And how do I continue offering my years of Dharma with the Sangha? And individual interviews is one way to do it easily and one way that I really love.
Yeah, and something different happens with the teacher than a peer. And again, it's subtle and it's not the same for everyone or at every time. But there is a
Yeah.
possibility of something different happening.
So that was another impetus we were thinking about, why somebody would maybe want an interview is that they don't know if they're getting the Dharma. Like, am I learning something here? Each teacher has a little bit of a different interview style. How am I supposed to talk about my experience? There's no clear guidelines. So that might be another reason why you talk to a teacher is that you might have more confidence than to share your experience and jump in with your language and whatever is going on for you in meditation.
And also, you can ask those kinds of questions, the I don't get it kind of questions they could ask the questions to you, and you could together, I don't know, clarify that a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and help the person get something a little more.
Right. Well, that's one of our big tenets is exploring something through conversation and then reflecting on that conversation. In one of the other programs that I had developed before the pandemic, actually called Ethical Reflecting, Nelly and I think, Nelly, you helped me with this because it seems like a lot of our stuff we did together during the pandemic. But we talk about reflection is a nuanced and subtle way to start to learn that it's not so apparent right away in your experience what the Dharma teaching is. And that we called it sophisticated. It's matured over time. So you might not, again, even know what you're learning until you talk about it with somebody and then get a better idea of what you're learning or how you're learning it.
Right, right. So, Linda, how does it work if someone wanted an individual interview? Like, how do they get a hold of you, or what does it cost, or like, what's the nitty-gritty?
Nitty gritty. Aha. Well, my email address is on the website, the Reflective Meditation website, the Sati Sangha website. It's not on the Pine Street website, I don't think. But I'm doing these on Dana. So basically, I have a range. I forget what the range is right now. I'd have to look it up, but there is a range. Do you remember, Nellie? You
No,
probably
but
don't.
I don't. It's a suggested donation range, and it's quite a.
Yeah,
I remember it's quite a range. Uh,
right.
so you can, if you don't have much financial resources, you don't
Yeah,
have a lot. But if you do have financial resources, boy, that would help Sati Sangha to give more.
it would. It would.
So it's time to be done, which is I think, wonderful, Linda, because we have a lot more to talk about, and we've got Dharma talks, each of us this week. So we
Right,
will continue on.
right. Good timing. Good timing. And I'll take care of the bells today. I think it's my turn, Nellie, if I'm remembering correctly. And I want to welcome anybody that's new. I'm going to my larger view. It looks like I've met most of you, or we've been together. Oh, there might be a few new people. Welcome to us today. So we'll have a chance for about a 30-minute meditation sitting. And in our practice, we tend to turn off the camera and we also keep the mute on. But this is a time for you to be with your experience of meditating. Let your mind go where it will. You can lay down, you can sit up, but hold your body relatively still as we talk about. And then after the meditation sitting, we take 10 minutes to reflect back on what happened and try to remember some of the details, some of the things that really stick out from the experience today. And then we'll have 10 minutes at the end to talk about it together in the group.